Hey guys, it's your girl Samantha of Black Nation News, and today I wanted to report on some good news, I think. So apparently there were two mothers who sued Arkansas. I'm trying to see this title. For some reason it's not coming out. Well, two mothers sued the Arkansas over the mask mandates, which I think is great. Because, like the mother said in the video, like, we definitely have to have people who have common sense. They need to become louder than the people who are complete idiots. Because, like, lately, I just feel like the people who are just trying to destroy everything, they're not really that smart. I feel like they are getting the microphone, like, they're getting to be, like, have the spotlight on them and make these decisions for everyone that could destroy and is destroying so many lives. Like, me as a mom, like, I know I have a 5-year-old starting school this year, and we actually held him out of school last year because of COVID, because I just did not want to deal with the crazy that was happening. And this year it's like I really don't have a choice. I have to send him to school. And I just don't, I just can't even, I'm stressed out. Our children under 12 can't even get vaccines yet for COVID. They have not gotten the approval to be vaccinated yet. So it's like, okay, so I'm basically sending my child around a bunch of other kids, and we know kids are like little germ bags walking around, and you know, I really don't have a lot of faith in the whole ideal of the mask. I don't feel like my son is going to keep his mask on, so I'm very nervous about that. They were saying children at the camps were getting sick a lot. The numbers are really raising amongst the children, especially with the Delta variant. It seems to be targeting our children more than like adults. And there's just so many things as a parent to be worried about this year. Like, I'm freaking out. And, you know, I've tried to find some support on Facebook and just want to talk to other mothers, see what other people are thinking. But it does give me some comfort that there's people out there that's like really worried about this whole thing like I am. And so I was happy to see this story. I was like, good, like, hopefully more of this will happen, because this story immediately made me think about Florida and how Governor DeSantis he's losing his mind. I don't see why you need to make it where you're literally banning mask mandates. Like, you're not allowing, you're putting it into law, not allowing like businesses and organizations and just whomever, you're not allowing people to put a mandate in place saying you have to wear a mask. And I'm just like, I don't know, I just don't understand the stupidity of this country and this world. Like, I don't understand what's happening right now. I just do not understand. Like, I understand, but I don't understand, because I know why it's happening on a deeper level, but it is extremely frustrating, like, to watch this stupidity be allowed to constantly just continue. And I'm like, it's one thing to say, you know, oh, you don't have to wear a mask or whatever, but he should leave it up to people, because everyone's situation is different. And I'm just at this point where I feel like they don't care if people die, because Governor DeSantis, if anyone should be stepped down, it should be him. They just lost almost 100 people from that condo collapsing in Florida, and you're still sitting here being reckless about people's lives, as far as it coming to how, you know, as far as what will happen with COVID. And we know school is starting, like, some kids have already went back to school. I mean, school starting is right around the corner, and we have these politicians who clearly do not have the American citizens' best interest at heart. Like, they're not following the science. They're not using common sense. They're not showing any compassion or empathy, for that matter. And it's just like, we're just doing whatever we want because of politics. We don't care who dies and who lives. I think it's disgusting. And I personally feel like when you have people acting this recklessly with your life, they should be held to a high standard and they should be fired. I mean, you're blatantly making these crappy decisions, and you have this power of so many people's lives in your hand. And I just feel like they should be fired. Like, we put you there, we can take you down. Like, why can't people vote him out of office? So, I'm happy to see that these mothers, I guess, have some kind of a victory. I really didn't understand the video where they showed the governor talking. So they said he changed his course on the school ban of the mask mandates in schools. But I don't really know exactly how he changed course. So I don't know. We're just at a bad place, guys. This country is just, the world is a mess. This country is a mess. It's just like such a bad place we are at right now. It's sad. Common sense isn't common anymore. You know, things you would think would be a given just aren't anymore. It's too many evils out there, you know, and I don't know what to say. I want to say just stay safe, everybody. Try to use some common sense. If you don't have it, I don't know what to tell you. Just put a mask on, you and your babies, to save their life. Like, I just don't understand this. Why is it so difficult? Why are we fighting to put a mask on? Like, it's the craziest thing to me. And the people who don't want to wear masks, I'm really wondering, like, have any of them gotten sick? Have they seen any of their relatives die? Why does it seem like they're able to just continue this craziness? So, I don't know. It's depressing to think about it, honestly. It really is depressing.
Because Governor Hutchinson realized he was wrong, called a special session this week to amend this law. Yesterday, state lawmakers went home before making any changes. I want you to take a listen to what Governor Hutchinson said in response.
Primary mission was to provide flexibility for local school districts during this pandemic, as that age group cannot be vaccinated. Today, the General Assembly adjourned and went home without further action and without taking action on amending Act 1002. That is disappointing to me.
But right after lawmakers adjourned, a judge stepped in, temporarily blocked the state from enforcing its ban on mask mandates. He said it discriminates between public and private school students, infringes on the governor's emergency powers. I know that is a lot, but your reaction to all of this?
You know, ASA made a decision in April that unfortunately tied his hands. We have a supermajority of Republicans in the legislature, so whether he signed it or not, it was going to go into law. However, I think, you know, he regrets what he did, and unfortunately, you know, they decided not to amend the law. But fortunately, we had a judge who saw what we did, and we won our first step in taking back the power to protect our most vulnerable.
Well, let's talk about that lawsuit, Veronica. The lawsuit seeks to, quote, protection from an irrational act of legislative madness that threatens K through 12 public school children with irreparable harm. Can you elaborate on that? Tell me why you felt legal recourse was your best option.
Well, we are very aware of the way the legislative session went this year. We know that they passed a lot of laws that were meant to harm certain groups of people, and not meant at all to provide for the general welfare and public safety of Arkansans. And so when we started seeing our numbers go up, we started seeing that, nobody was stepping in to say what needed to be said, is that we're about to send all of our children back into the schools and they have no way to be protected. And so, we explored a lot of different options. We wrote letters, we called, and ASA, of course, just kept saying, my hands are tied. And then on the other side of that, we knew that with the special session, it would be just a game to them. And so while we have some powerhouse fighters in there that try to stand up for the good things, it's just at this point, the legislature is kind of a joke.
Wait, but Veronica, tell me more about that, because for those who don't follow your state so closely, hearing you say that you knew the legislature wasn't going to take this seriously, or that they are a joke, tell us what leads you to believe that. Why did you know that was going to be a dead end?
Well, when we see the sponsor of this bill talking about how he wouldn't even consider a mask mandate until we had a mortality rate of 30%, and then talking about, when we look at the numbers of infections that we've had up until now, that's over 100,000 people dead in a state of 3 million. That is completely unacceptable. And, when he talks about how he's winning and he goes in and starts yelling at other state senators who are trying to listen to citizens both for and against mask mandates. But, we're seeing all of this, political rage that isn't serving anybody. And meanwhile, people are getting sick and they're dying, and we all have to come together and we have to fight this together. I don't care who you voted for. We all know what we need to do right now, and that's to mask up and get vaccinated, and let's get through this so that we can have a life again.
Yeah, Ashley, talk to me. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids under 5, so this is very top of mind for me as well. Like, where does this leave you as a parent? What, aside from sort of the macro choices that you are making to join this lawsuit, just when you think about sending your kids back to school, like, what are your options?
Well, our options are either, send my 2 kids to school. I have an autistic son, and my older son has ADHD as well as is high risk. So it's a difficult decision between sending them to school and masking up and hoping and praying, or keeping them home and struggling through their education, them not getting what they need. It's a very tough situation. I kind of feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Veronica, I would love to hear how you are processing this all as well, but also, as you have become public with this lawsuit, what is the reception? What have you heard from others in your community?
Gosh, when Ashley and I were talking about it last night, when we got home, even when we walked out of the courthouse, we had both of our phones, we couldn't have our phones on us during the hearing, but our phones were blowing up with messages of support. I've had people calling and writing me messages saying thank you, that, because all the parents in the state are going through the same thing. And I know, it is that rock and a hard place where we're trying to figure out how do we let our kids have some normal childhood while also making sure that they make it through childhood.
Right. I mean, Ashley, I think we've seen a lot of video of parents going to school board meetings, to town council meetings, and really raging against this idea of mask mandates. What we have heard less of is voices like yours, who are concerned moms, who are concerned about the other possibility, which is that you will send your kid into a scenario where they are not protected. And we have lots of mandates in this country, including sort of a mandate to wear your seatbelt. Federal law prevents state and local governments from discriminating against people with disabilities. A few examples, there are many more. What do you think, though, is behind the visceral anger that so many parents feel about their children having to wear masks?
I think a lot of it is politically driven. I think all of it's politically driven. I think that unfortunately, when all of this happened, we had a president who very much politicized the entirety of this pandemic. And I'm not quite sure how people are reconciling it in their head that, you know, they don't need to keep their kids safe. But it's unfortunate. It's frustrating. It's disheartening to see. However, I just believe that we've got to be louder than the minority of people that have been so loud against mask mandates.
Veronica, I want to give some context to our audience who might not be in your state, which is that the vaccination rate in your state is at 37%. So it ranks second in the country for new cases per capita, according to Johns Hopkins. Those numbers, of course, not where you would want them to be. In your opinion, what more needs to be done in Arkansas to make it safer for you, for your kids, for educators, for everyone who is walking into those school buildings?
Well, I would like to see people getting vaccinated if you can. I would like to see everybody wearing masks. You know, we have the choice right now, but, you know, we know that masking is going to help reduce the spread. Also, you know, there's a lot of businesses that are calling their employees back into the offices right now, into cubicle environments. We have, you know, gatherings and parties that are going on that state leaders are attending. And I get that they're vaccinated, but we're past the point right now where, you know, anybody can safely really gather based on the numbers. And so, you know, I'm not a scientist. I'm a mental health therapist, but I see a momentary pause where we could get this under control, to get our healthcare workers some relief, and to protect our teachers and our students. You know, just a momentary pause where everybody could make a sacrifice is going to help us years down the road when we have less disability, less trauma, less people unable to work because of what they've experienced with long COVID, death and loss. I mean, this is bigger than just, oh, are you going to survive or not from COVID? It's a lot of stuff that goes into this.
Veronica, Ashley, thank you both so much for your time.
Whew, okay. Wow. Okay, so really happy to see some sense happening today. This is probably one of the most positive stories I've seen so far in the news. So I found this article on CBS News because I wanted to better understand what exactly happened with the lawsuit that the two moms brought against. I guess they brought it either against the Arkansas government or the Arkansas governor, Asa Hutchinson. So this just goes into further detail. It says Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson says he changed his mind on mask law because facts change. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson says Sunday he changed his mind about a bill he signed in April to ban mask mandates across the state because, quote unquote, facts change, and admitted that signing it at a time when COVID-19 cases were low in his state was an error. Facts change and leaders have to adjust to the new facts that you have and the reality of what you have to deal with, the Republican governor said on Face the Nation. I realized that we needed to have more options for our local school districts to protect those children. And so I asked the legislature to redo the law. I don't like the way you say this, those children, like they're not affiliated with him at all, even though they're his citizens in his state. And they're kids. Like, we should all feel like we need to protect children. So it shouldn't be like those children, you know. And okay, so let me continue. He said, so I asked the legislature to redo the law, that prohibited those requirements or those options for the school districts to protect the children. And so it was an error to sign that law. Children under 12 are not yet eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, and with the Delta variant on the rise and schools soon to reopen in the fall, Hutchinson said he wanted to give school districts the flexibility to decide whether to require masks or not. On Friday, an Arkansas judge temporarily blocked the state from enforcing the ban after the state lawmakers left it in place despite Hutchinson's call for them to reverse the law. In Arkansas's Marion School District, nearly 900 students and teachers are currently in quarantine. Hutchinson said he believes if more people were vaccinated, that number wouldn't be so high. and that the district is an example of why schools need the option to require mask wearing. Ordinarily, you have about 2.5 contacts from one exposure that has to be quarantined, but in the school environment, it was more like 18 to 1. And so that's why we had so many that were quarantined, Hutchinson said. You can't have a successful school year with that kind of exposure in the school. And so vaccines, as well as flexibility of the local school district, would be the key. He's saying so vaccines are the key, but kids 12 and under can't even get them. They have not been approved anywhere in America for kids under 12 to get the vaccines. So you need to allow people to be able to put masks on their children to help protect the population. Because even if children aren't getting sick, which with the Delta variant, they are getting sick and ending up in hospitals, some are even dying, they can still bring that asymptomatic virus back to the family. Like, they may not be displaying symptoms. They may be looking like they're okay and they're playing in the house, but they could be bringing that virus back into the home of their family members. And then their family members could be going out and spreading it around to work or wherever they're going. So this is a no-brainer. Put a mask on. It's really not that difficult to understand, even if you are vaccinated. Unvaccinated children aren't the only ones at risk of catching COVID-19 from the Delta variant. Hutchinson said because the Delta variant is so transmissible, it's affecting every population in his state. We're seeing 40-year-olds in the hospital and on vents, and then it goes down, Hutchinson said. And while the children are less susceptible to it and have less at risk, still a small number of children find themselves in the hospital. We've had over 24 in our children's hospital. We've had 3 adolescents die, and that is too many. 3 too many. Too young to be dying from something like this in 2021 is unacceptable. There have been improvements on the number of Arkansas residents getting the vaccine. In June, the state was 46th in the nation for the number of people with at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose. That is not that great. It's 50 states, so you're pretty much at the bottom, and definitely at the bottom half. Like, you're way down there, Arkansas. So 46th in the nation is not something to write home about. Now Arkansas is the 38th with 60% of Arkansans with at least one dose. Hutchinson said he plans to continue to engage in community conversations to increase the vaccination rate in his state. The governor said another way to make the COVID-19 vaccine more broadly accepted is for the Food and Drug Administration to grant them final approval. While he said this would not convince him to support vaccine mandates in Arkansas, Hutchinson called on the Biden administration to take this action to encourage more Americans to get vaccinated. That doesn't make sense either at the end. So he's saying that the FDA more broadly, like if they approve the COVID-19 vaccine, which I'm surprised they haven't approved it, and we're already getting vaccinated with these vaccines. He said that still wouldn't convince him to support vaccine mandates. Yeah, okay. I think Americans are entitled, and they're struggling with being told what to do. It's like we're dealing with a bunch of spoiled brats who do not know how to sacrifice, how to be selfless, how to put somebody in front of themselves for once in their lives. And that's why we are where we are right now. So, yeah, so I hope this article cleared up some things for you, because I did not understand when the mothers were talking about what was accomplished with their lawsuit. I didn't really understand what exactly transpired. So I just wanted to find some more information just to get the full detail, the full scope of what was happening in Arkansas, because basically we can copy it. You know, what's happening in Arkansas is happening in Florida. I think a lot of the Republican-led states like Texas are doing these ignorant things of banning mask mandates. And so I feel like if they found a solution that worked in Arkansas, then they can repeat it in other Republican-led states, or any state. I don't really care what party it is, but like any state that is trying to ban mask mandates, which is ignorant. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And until I see you again, take care of yourselves and each other. Stay safe, wear your mask, get vaccinated. Peace.